Paycor provides payroll and HR software to small and medium businesses. We have over 40,000 clients in a variety of industries, and from recruiting and onboarding to benefits and payroll, our clients want to make an impact in their organization, and we help them do that. We're a fast-growing company, and we have plans to grow even faster, and to accomplish that, it's critical that we are always focused on improving sales productivity, and GeoPoint helps us do just that.
GeoPoint is an amazing tool that's helped us to be more productive in the field. It's helped us to increase the number of prospects that we're getting in front of, and it's just amazing technology that helps us be more prepared in the field. My team absolutely loves using GeoPoint. It saved them a tremendous amount of time, and so we've seen almost 2.5 more drops per week when we're using GeoPoint.
I use GeoPoint on my mobile app on an almost daily basis. It actually is very strategic in the ability to optimize a specific route and get through that route in the most efficient way possible. It allows me to visualize my geographic territory, see where the concentration of my prospect accounts are, and know where I'm going to spend the majority of my time so that I'm actually able to hit a much higher level of accounts that I would not otherwise be able to hit. Because of its integration with Salesforce, I'm able to click directly into the opportunity that I'm working on and add notes, add the visit, and log the drop that I may have done to that location. GeoPoint is an integral part of our sales process, and the utilization of it across our sales team is really impactful in us being such a successful organization.
As a territory analyst, I help create and equalize everybody's territories within their separate regions. It's really important to have GeoPoint so that we can manage the data so that our sales leaders can focus on managing their people.
GeoPoint has been a big win for our sales organization. When we were evaluating a mapping solution, we looked at a couple of different options, and ultimately we selected GeoPoint. These days, users are looking for intuitive, easy-to-use technology, and GeoPoint is just that. If you have sellers who are out in the field, GeoPoint is a no-brainer. It really helps them be more productive, maximize their time, and make sure that they're optimizing their client visits while they're out in the field.
We were just a bunch of nerdy kids who ignored the haters. We took their ridicule and we built on it. And when some of us gave up, well, we built on that too. Built resilience, built on a mission to make things a little better every day until the users came. Then the haters were VCs who scoffed at our audacity. This just isn't the way things are done. But we kept building. Users turned into teams, turned into companies, running their entire businesses on our apps. Then the software giants came after us. We weren't proven, we weren't fully featured, our radical cloud model wasn't secure. But we built on. And today, as companies adopt the cloud to move faster, teams are finding themselves slowed down by each other's efforts. The skeptics are claiming we'll never develop innovation at scale. But now, DevOps have come to the cloud, ushering in a new era of transformation. Companies can release on demand across hundreds of environments, innovating faster with fewer conflicts and fewer disruptions. There will always be challenges. There will always be naysayers. And we'll build on.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, and welcome to Virtual Dreamin. And in this session, we are going to talk about data retention with big object, specifically for field history data retention. My name is Prashant Pandey. I'm working as a senior developer at TSPI past 4 years, and I'm also very actively available on Salesforce Success Community. And you can reach me there, or you can also reach me at my LinkedIn ID. Moving next. So in this session, particularly, we'll be talking about field history and field audit trial and their limitations, and then how we can overcome with those limitations by using big object, and we'll see with a demo. So as we all know, the big object is the out-of-box, the Salesforce out-of-box big object sorry, not big object, the field history tracking is a method where we can track the changes between fields and we can see at the related list. So you can enable the field history for any object, for custom object or standard object, just go to setup and you can enable it. And those field history object immediately available to the custom or standard object. And we can track up to 20 fields for those field history for a particular object. But there is a small limitation that those field history are only available for less than 24 months. So recently, spring 19, you have heard about Salesforce is going to enforce this rule that whatever the org has created before June 2011, they are going to, whatever the data are there in the history object, they are going to get deleted. So with that said, we need to have some solution to retain those data for important customer. So spring 14, Salesforce has introduced a field audit trial that comes with the sealed subscription, where you can purchase that subscription as an add-on field audit trial, and then the data you can store for 10 years. And just not you can store the data, you can also create a policy when and how long the data can be stored. But the minimum, the maximum time is 10 years. So we can create a retention policy in such a way that when that data can be archived and how long it can be archived. So for example, let's say you have an account object and you have enabled the field history. So immediately Salesforce create the history object for related to that object. And then once you have the field history enabled, and also you have a sealed subscription for field audit trial, you will get an additional object called field history archive. So this is a big object that Salesforce has provided. And within this big object, you can create your retention policy for when this data can go to the field history archive. So I will show you the next slide how this we can configure the retention policy. But let's say you have created the retention policy and then the data is now stored in the archive object. And now you want to access it. So you can use a Visualforce page or Lightning component, and you can retrieve those archive data in your org. But there is another limitation here we have. It's only available for 10 years. You cannot have this data for longer period. So this is the another limitation we have, even though we are buying the sealed subscription from Salesforce. So then how we can overcome with this solution? So there is a another approach where we can use a custom big object and we can overcome with the solution. This is the slide I was talking, how we can configure the retention policy. So let's say you have a custom object metadata file, and then you can just, this 4-line help you to create the retention policy. So if you see here, archive after months. So this will define when you want to archive or when you want to push the history Salesforce out-of-box history data to archive object. So this is the month where you can define it. Archive retention year. This is the attribute which help you to define how long you want to store this data. So this limit is 1 to 10 years. So you can define here your retention year. So this is 2 important attribute if you are defining your retention for a field history object. So coming to the big object. So as we all know, big objects is a type of object that provide you a storage solution for the large volume data on Salesforce platform. It is similar to a custom object where you see for another Salesforce custom object is end with __c, but the big objects ends with __b. And in spring 19, we are able to create the big object from the setup menu. But earlier to that, we have to create a package. We have to create a the object specifically in package as well as the permission set in the package file, and then we have to deploy using Workbench or whatever the means you can use. And then the big object get created in your Salesforce org. But now we can create it from setup. I will show you that as well. Another is the index field. So this is very important for us to use a big object, and we need an index field. So index field will help us to query the big object or filter a big object. So if you don't have an index field, then we cannot filter any big object record. We must have an index field. So moving forward, in order to create index field, whenever you create a big object, just go ahead and select the any this type of field, and you can make the index field. There is a limitation that we cannot make index for the text area and the URL. Rest you can make any of the field as an index field. There's another important things about the index field, the length of the field. So we can have maximum 5 index field within a one big object, but we can create up to 100. The length of any of the field should be 100. It will be the combination of both. So let's say you are creating a phone field, then it should be maybe 10 character, and the text field should be the 90 character. If you increasing that maybe 100 character, you are going to get an error while creating the index. So the combination of both, all of the fields should be 100 character. And that, I think that should be pretty reasonable. Earlier it was less, I think 50. Now they have increased to 100, but which is pretty good. So now how we can, let's say we created a big object, we have enabled the field index field. Now it's time to insert a record in the big object. So we have two ways to insert the record in big object. Either use Apex method call, database method call insert immediate, or use, or use a CSV file and then upload in the workbench and deploy to the insert into the big object. So we'll specifically talk about the database method. So if you see here, I have a history object, and then my phone number is a index field, and these are the value. And as soon as I call this method, the record going to insert in the big object record, which is the history here. Now, let's say you want to update the record. So whenever you want to update the record, you don't have to change the index value. If the index field is changed, that means the record is going to insert again. So that's the main difference in the insert and update, because we are calling both database.insert and here also database.insert immediate. So just the varies here is the index field. I will show you in the real-time code also how that looks like. So let's say now we are querying a big object and we have certain index fields. As I mentioned earlier, we have 5 index fields that can be grouped together and filter those records, and we can show in the custom object or Lightning component or the Visual Force page. So those millions of records, either you can use a SOQL query to filter this record, but let's say you have more than 50,000 records and still you want to use it, or maybe millions of records, still you want to query this record, you can use async SOQL query, and then you can filter this record. But another important fact in the async SOQL query is that your org must have at least 50 millions of record. Then Salesforce is going to enable it. If you have less than that, you're not going to get the Salesforce async SOQL query features available in your org. So you must have at least 50 millions of record to use SOQL query, async SOQL query. Moving forward, so these are the quick I created a differentiation table where we can see what is available and what is not available. So if you see the standard field history, we have 20 field we can track, but the field audit trial, we can track up to 60 field. But the big object, you can create n number of field and you can track those field. For standard field history, there's no any retention policy. It's available immediately. As soon as you enable the field history for the object, it will be available immediately. But there is an option for the field history archive object. You can configure from 1 to 18 months and 1 to 10 years to store the data. But again, for the custom big object, you can, there's no limit. You can use as much as you want. Yes, and how we can get it? So standard history is available for you, all enterprise, professional, and limited edition. But the field history archive will come with the sales subscription. And the custom big objects also is available on the enterprise, unlimited, and personal and developer. So you can just enable it. You can just create it from your setup. So now we'll see about a demo, and let's think about it. There's an online e-learning company, and they are getting a lot of lead from the different channels. And while they are merging the lead, the lead merge process, eliminating their field history process, they're not able to track all the lead source from where they are coming. So, and they also want for n number of years, they can track those record in the history for their historical analysis, or maybe they will with that record, they will see what channel performing best and what channels giving best lead into their company. So we'll see that demo in quickly. So let me.
Hey Prashant, quick time check. We have 7 minutes.
Yep. So let's say I have a lead record here, and I'm just going to, let's say, create a new record. Maybe in real time it will come as a Web2 lead. So maybe here I'm just give the name. I think the lead source is from web. I'll just create the record. So I created a lead. Now let's say there is another lead that's also coming from another source. We can say that lead is coming from. I will just change. They've given the lead as a vDemo company. And they're also adding the lead source as a maybe purchase list. Right. So right now we have two different leads, which is created here. Let me add email also here. Just let me clone it now so that we can create a different lead. For this, I will give email something. So we got now two leads, and if you see here, there is a Salesforce field history. It shows that, okay, the record is created, but we have created another lead, another Lightning component to show the how the record we are going to store in the big object. So if I save any field here, let's say I change this vDemo to something else, it's just going to show me that, okay, there is a change in the record, and it will just track in the big object record, big object, which will show here. So you see here what we have designed that. So the before value is I say virtual Dreamin, and then now the the after value is virtual Dreamin, and now the before value was VD demo. And which user has created? This is a user, and he has changed the company name. And we can also see what field has been changed and what date it is changed. That all we can track here. So time limitation, there's more demo I want to show, but let me quickly go to the code and what we have done here. So what I have done, the design pattern I have followed. I created a trigger on the lead object, and then I'm just serializing this new and old value of the lead, and calling it in the another lead helper class. You see here in the lead helper class, say So lead helper class is the future method. So the big object only work whenever you want to insert or update or delete, it should be work in the asynchronous. So in order to make asynchronous, I'm using here a future method, and then I'm passing the new and old value and the object API name. So this class is quite configurable. Whenever you can use with any other object, let's say you want to use lead or case or any custom object, just you need to give on the trigger, just give the API name, and then rest everything will take care of it. So just pass the API name, and then I'm just getting the converting again back to the string into the S object, and I'm going to get all the field in the schema map, and then whatever the field is entered, I'm going to loop through it. And then if you see here, I'm going to populate in the big object. So there is isChange method. What is that? It just check the value, old and new value. If the field is changed, that means it's say that, oh, there's a change in the value, and I'm going to insert the record in the big object. And these are the the new and old value I'm passing and assigning the value to them. And then just I'm calling this to insert the record. So here in the before value, this is my the index field that is being, as soon as it's changed, it is inserting the record. If it is not changed, and if any other values change, it is just going to update the big object. Let me quickly show you the component. So this is the very small component where I'm creating the table. And within the table, I'm just getting what are the different column you saw there before, value, after value, and the username is available here. And here I'm just calling with the Apex class, I'm setting the value here in the helper class. So this was just the column. And
Not quick time check. We have
all right. So yeah, so this is pretty simple, straightforward class. I mean the helper. I will be sharing this class. I mean this code as well on the briefcase. You can access from there. But yeah, so this was the quick demo. If you have any question, I'm available now. We can talk on the question.
Okay, we have a couple of questions coming in. So can we get a copy of your code? Yes, Prashant is going to share that. Is there an App Exchange app that has this capability? Prashant,
yeah, that's good questions. Yeah, there is many app are available on the big objects. You can download it, but they are a little costly. But you have to define, okay, what is your really need? If you want to track for certain object field, just you can use this code and just create those, create the history policy for your company. You don't have to really go for the App Exchange.
And the next question is, how many records can be stored in the big objects?
So if it's available up to 50 million, you can store, but you can store up to billion record, but you have to buy additional license from Salesforce for that.
And how many big objects can be created in org?
In org, it's the same thing. If let's say you have a unlimited edition and we have the more than 50 million and 1 billion records can be created in the big object.
So what happens if you try to insert a big object record and you have reached your license record limit?
So what happened, it will not give an error, but we have to again debug that. I have seen this problem. So what we have found that we inserting the record and we're not finding that why the new value is not getting inserted. So while debug, you'll find that there is a exception error you'll get in the debug log, and this is how you have to identify it. There is no such. I mean, you can create a error log object, and where you can, whenever that error comes, you can just store there. You can monitor from there.
And will the big object slow down the system at any point?
No, not at all. So they are built on the big data concept. So like big data concept like the platform Hive and Hadoop. So they built based on that. So there's no performance problem if you use the big object.
All right, I don't see any other new questions. I missed one. So can I track specific fields instead of all fields?
Yes, yes, you can. In this code, I just. So in this code, if you see, I have a field method here. Yeah, here. So I'm just removing those certain field that, okay, this field is changed. I don't want to create as a history. Now you can add here those field, and then even though that will not get created, or you can remove this from here, put it in the custom metadata, so that will be more configurable. So that's also possible. You can do that.
All right, we are a little over time. We have a few more questions coming in, but we are sorry we would not be able to answer live, but please feel free to reach out to Prashant on LinkedIn or any other social media. He'll be happy to help you on that one-to-one.
Yes, definitely. If anyone has any question, please reach out to me, and I'm happy